Welcome. I appreciate all the enthusiasm. I promise we'll have a lot of time to network and connect and converse throughout the day, but if we could get going, we've got a pretty full agenda that we're excited to share with you all. I'm Dan Gilbane with Gilbane Building Company. I'm the chair of UpSkill Houston and sit on the Greater Houston Partnership Board as well, and appreciate all of your support, but I would like to call out a few supporters in particular, and I've got these shifted around here, sorry about that. I'm going to try and stay on script, but I have a tendency to go off script, so bear with me. Our presenting sponsor today is Shell Oil Company. Our gold sponsor is San Jacinto College District. We at Gilbane, we're proud to sponsor at the silver level, and we have several bronze sponsors, Amegy Bank, Houston Methodist, INEOS, the Merrick family of companies, and Trio Electric. I'd also like to thank PetrochemWorks, a website to explore careers in the petrochemical manufacturing industry, for their media sponsorship. And there's also another group of organizations we'd like to extend a big thank you to, UpSkill Houston's leading founders, the major investors in UpSkill Houston who provide the financial and leadership support to direct this critical effort. So for their vision and critical early support, I'd like to thank JPMorgan Chase, the United Way of Greater Houston, Phillips 66, and the Greater Houston Partnership and Opportunity Houston 2.0. Thank you for your support of UpSkill Houston. Without your leadership investments, the Houston region would not be on the forefront of developing the skilled talent its industries need to maintain our region's global competitiveness. And by making these investments in our regional workforce, we're also ensuring that individuals and the families in our region can share in the economic prosperity and thrive. Once again, thank you all for your support. I am going to go off script to start here briefly and ask for a moment of silence. Houston lost one of our brighter lights, a young man named Alex Sonnenberg. Some of you may have seen the astronaut Scott Kelly's note about Alex's passing, and I'll come back to Alex later in my remarks because in many ways he embodies what we're talking about here today. But if we could start with a quick moment of silence. Thank you. We're here today because we want to address the skills gap our employers face and our residents confront. In Houston, we have great jobs and not enough people for these jobs. Conversely, we have great people who can't access those good jobs because they don't have the training and skills for them. There are many reasons for our region's skills gap. First, as employers, we need to do a better job communicating the knowledge, skills, competencies, and credentials that are needed to be successful in the jobs and careers we offer. This helps educators develop better programs and helps potential workers who are trying to get the education and develop the skills we as employers need. What we'll hear today is that more intentional partnering with educational institutions and community organizations can create better results for both students and employers. Second, based on our research, UpSkill Houston found that as a country, we've convinced almost everyone that the only pathway to success is to complete high school, go to a four-year college, and then start a career. As employers, we probably perpetuate this belief when we post a position that has a college degree requirement when the position doesn't really require a college degree. We're only reinforcing the idea that 4 years of college is the only path to success. Here in the Houston region, we know that about 1/3 of our regional economy is powered by great jobs that don't require a four-year degree, but require some training and education beyond high school. As we'll hear shortly, it's possible for someone to complete high school and get additional training and education, start a great career as an electrician or in information technology or in petrochemical manufacturing. We're fortunate to have a diverse economy that has careers and occupations across the spectrum of high school diploma training and education beyond a high school diploma but less than 4 years of college, a 4-year degree, and of course, advanced degrees beyond there. But in short, success in Houston does not require a 4-year college degree, and that's a message we want to share with everyone. It's a spectrum. Houston has been fortunate to have experienced tremendous growth over the last decade. When you look at the demographics, that growth is poised to continue. However, if we want to sustain the economic growth in Houston and opportunities that economic growth provides, we must be better at connecting people with jobs and jobs with people. If we don't, we will constrain our ability to grow and compete globally. Houston is a global city and competes with cities across the world. For us to compete against cities in China, South America, and elsewhere in the United States, we need to have the best talent and workforce in the world. Therefore, we must all work together in a collective effort to develop and implement solutions that address our region's skills gaps. Just 4 years ago, the Greater Houston Partnership's Regional Task Force Development concluded its work and launched a visionary, innovative, and collective initiative, UpSkill. In those 4 years, we've created a strong foundation, we've built momentum, and we're poised to accelerate our work as we move forward. The purpose of UpSkill conference today is to highlight what is working, to encourage adoption of effective practices, to excite more people to champion this work and to scale our work, all in an effort to attract, train, and place our residents into the great jobs that require training and education beyond a high school diploma, but less than a 4-year college degree. All of us in this room know there are many great opportunities for us to commit our time and energy. I'm here today because I care about Houston, and I want to ensure we can continue to help it grow. And I know that's the case for many of you as well. It's imperative we open wider the doors of opportunity for our residents to share in our economic prosperity. This means we have to build on UpSkill Houston's early successes and grow it and scale it. The first step in growing the work of UpSkill Houston is for businesses to engage and share where they see the gaps so that we can collectively develop solutions and address them. As we partner with schools and colleges, we'll have the ability to guide students to opportunities that also address employers' greatest needs. And we shouldn't underestimate the importance of providing mentorships and internships to help expose students to the diversity of careers that are here present in Houston. These are critical experiences for many students that may not have access to role models in the business community. The second step is to inspire and help students and their families to consider the broader spectrum of career paths into our regional economy. In today's ever-changing economy, I think it's important to acknowledge that many career paths that don't require a 4-year college degree won't end someone's educational journey, but may in fact complement it. Someone can start a career early, develop relevant technical skills, become financially self-sufficient, and explore where it can take them. This is the very essence of Houston's opportunity story, and where I will return to my friend Alex Sonnenberg. At 17 years old, Alex enlisted in the Navy. He became a demolitions expert, learned unique and critical skills for his teams. He was selected to serve with the SEAL teams. While serving with the SEALs, Alex went to UCSD at night, where he graduated with highest honors. Upon leaving the military, Alex went to Wharton, where he got his master's in business. Locally, Alex joined SCF Partners, Andy Wade, our fellow partnership board member, and was an operating executive here in Houston, and recently was appointed to become a CEO of an oil field services company. Alex, to me, is the embodiment of that UpSkill target demographic. There are those that put the blinders on because they only see the first step in the journey. But as you see with Alex, that journey can go a long way to the upper echelons of the highest level of service within our military and business community. What we intend to create with UpSkill is a beneficial cycle. Students will find career opportunities, and employers will find better talent, like Alex, going forward to help grow their businesses and the economy. So, as we start this day, we're going to hear from a couple of employers who are being deliberate and intentional in creating this beneficial cycle. My hope is that their stories and approaches will inspire you to be part of the collective solution to our regional skill gap. UpSkill Houston. Thank you. And now, I'd like to invite Frazier Wilson to come to the stage along with our panel. Frazier serves as the Vice President of Shell Oil Company Foundation and as Manager for the Workforce and Diversity Outreach for Shell. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy the day.
So when I agreed to moderate the panel, I didn't realize I would have to sit down. I'm a little ADHD, so I never sit down. I'm always walking around, so this is going to be a struggle for me. So if I get up and start walking around, just know I'm still following the script. So Dan, thanks for the introduction. I want to introduce you to our panelists today. First, we'll start with Andrea Hodge, who leads the TRIO Electric Apprenticeship Program, followed by Tammy Newman, Vice President of Global Technology Infrastructure End User Services for JP Morgan. And finally, David King, Special Projects and Workforce Development Manager for INEOS, Olefins and Polymers, and also Chair of the PetrochemWorks Steering Committee. So Dan already shared what our focus will be, talking about some of the opportunities that UpSkill has provided and some of the things that we can do as industry leaders, companies, educators, and those who are engaged in this space to help create opportunities. Also look for innovative approaches on how we can collaborate, provide opportunities in this region, and come up with the best practices in this area. Houston has been looked at across the country for some of the things that we've already done in this space. We've come up with great programs that have been modeled, been reflected, and highlighted by administrations from the White House, the state level, from different universities, and other businesses across the country. And so today we want to just take an opportunity just to have three local thought leaders share some of the things that they're doing in this space and how we can capitalize upon this. So we'll give you an opportunity to ask some questions a little bit later, but we'll start with a couple questions just to get them going. So we'll give each person 3 to 5 minutes just to share what you're doing in this space and also why did you choose the approach that you're currently taking with your company. We'll start with Andrea.
Well, thank you. My name's Andrea Hodge. I'm with TRIO Electric, and I just would like to thank UpSkill Houston and the partnership for having our partnership represented on this panel. As a mom of a cougar, it's great to be on campus and see all the wonderful things that are going on here at University of Houston. I'm here in place of Bo Pollock. You may know Bo. He's our CEO, and he's had the tireless enthusiasm necessary to get a program like this off the ground, and he sends his warmest regards. So in place of Bo, I'm going to do my very best to convey the excitement that we feel at TRIO Electric. And we're very grateful for the partnerships that we have with both Houston Community College and Spring Branch ISD. As we've embarked on this new phase of talent development with our organization. We began it about 5 years ago with a DOL-approved industry initiative in-house apprenticeship program, and now we've migrated into a pre-apprenticeship program at the high school level, working with high school students. And so you can't see this, but they're the equivalent of a mugshot of roughly 36 students who at this time are out in the field working at commercial construction sites across Houston. So as far east as Channelview, up to Spring, out to Willowbrook Mall, Energy Corridor, downtown. They're working on sites for energy companies, for tech companies, healthcare companies, and residential commercial residences. And we just got off a 2-week boot camp last Friday where we focused on making sure that the students all had the skills that they need, the marketable skills that they need to be safe and productive in the workplace as they get started. So they're halfway through day 2. I'm taking the approach that no news is good news. We had a few bumps in the road last night that our team had jumped on immediately. Our job sites start as early as 5 a.m. in the morning, and you can all imagine getting high school students up and at work and productive and safe at 5 o'clock in the morning is no small challenge. So that's what boot camp was all about, and yesterday I had the opportunity to go see some of them in action. They're working in prefab shops alongside our longtime employees, putting together lights that are going to go out to a parking garage across from Willowbrook Mall for a healthcare organization. And they're going to take it from the component parts all the way through to installing the lights themselves. And so we had Jade and Gigi and Izelle out there working with Dylan, placing all the young women together at a couple of different sites across the city, and then sending them, the young men out as well. But it's a very exciting time to see it come to fruition, and it's because of the hard work of our partnership. And so when we looked at, of all the things you could do, what is the thing that you should do? I wasn't on board the team. I came in February, and so I can just gush on about how excited I am about the work and the persistence that was required into lifting this off the ground. But we worked with Spring Branch ISD in part because Trio Electric is based in Spring Branch ISD. And Spring Branch has a focus on making sure all their graduates have a military or a technical or 2 or 4 year degree once they graduate. And it's a stated goal, and it's part of their DNA as they move forward. Houston Community College has deep curriculum supports and funding that's available in order to offer the students that participate in this program a level 1 certificate as an electrical helper upon graduation. So the students that are going through this program not only get the employable skills that they need to be safe and productive, but they're also getting dual credit. They're getting credit for their high school diploma, and they're also getting credit towards this certificate from Houston Community College that can then be used to continue their education and get an applied associate's degree, maybe an applied bachelor's degree. There's a lot of things that you can do with that certificate. As we've worked through this partnership, there have been some points of tension, but overall, we've decided to just roll up our sleeves and get things done. And I was hired to come in and start to make sure that we can sustain the operation and codify all the learning that's taken place and continue to prepare for the future. What's working, what's not, what do we need to modify, and how do we move it forward?
Thanks. So now let's hear from Tammy from JPMorgan Chase to share some of the work that you're doing with HCC to help identify and develop entry-level technical talent.
Thank you. I also want to thank UpSkill and Peter Beard specifically for reaching out to me, and Carolyn Watson from JPMorgan Chase, who this wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for her, to be quite honest. And we'll get into more of that later. But we launched an apprenticeship with the Department of Labor and Houston Community College in November of 2016. It was a long time coming. It took us a bit of time to work through to get it launched, but we got it figured out, and thanks to Carolyn's persistence and being my support structure along the way, we were able to launch with Houston Community College. And it was great for them because we were their first financial company to have an apprenticeship with. Most of their apprenticeships are with the electrical union workers, and with CBS are 2 of the other big ones that they support. And I'm sure there's others, and I apologize if I don't have them all in my head, but I kind of look at we're kind of the most important because we're the first financial one. So, but so it was great. We were looking for people in the workforce, adults that were in the workforce or in the military, and were looking to reskill themselves. So going back to Houston Community College, getting an associate's degree in computer science, in networking, or cybersecurity are the 3 associate's degree programs that we're working with them on. It's a 5-year program. It is a Department of Labor registered program, and we're looking to place approximately 43 technologists within the firm and within the technology business. With that, I'm happy to say we just had 3 of our original apprentices complete their one-year program on March 27th, and they got their Department of Labor certification, and needless to say, they were thrilled. They didn't realize, I didn't tell them they were getting it, and so it was a nice surprise when it came in, and they got their pictures taken, and you have to feel sorry for these 3 guys, because since they're my first, they get dragged into all kinds of photo ops. And it's like, hey, we need a picture for a newsletter. Hey, we need a picture to put on our social site, or we need, so they always look at me and they're like, okay, well, just give us time so we dress and look nice. But they're very accommodating, and I have to say, a big thank you to them. But I will let you know, as part of the program, that we currently have 3 military veterans, which is great. And the program isn't just focused on veterans, but it is great to see that we are helping to reskill veterans that have been out of the military for various number of years. And we do have, adults that have been in different roles, and, they went back, got their degree, and they're coming in. I have one that's getting ready to complete his 1 year in July, and he told me as soon as he got the call from us, he took his server uniform and threw it away. And my heart was like, maybe I wanted to give that back to the company. But his excitement was kind of overwhelming, and I said, okay, I kind of understand the excitement piece, so, which is great. And he's been doing super well, as they all have, and he's actually going into an application development role. So he completes his first year next month, but we're seeing them develop additional skills besides what they're in, what they came in the door with. We currently have 5 occupations in technology. The great asset that we have coming out of the program with Houston Community College is that if we find something they need a certificate in, or they need more training in, we can send them back to Houston Community College for that training, for that certificate, and they're actually paying for that as part of the grant money they got from the Department of Labor. So it helps us in many ways, that, to help people get their foot in the door and figure out, okay, what do they need? How can we help them be successful? Because that's always our first idea when we bring someone in, is, okay, we're bringing them in. They're a little nervous, might be their first time in a corporate environment, especially of a firm of over 260,000 plus people, so it can be a little overwhelming at times. So we're always looking to sit down with them and stay in touch with them. And I do, during their first year of apprenticeship, I'm meeting with them at least once a month. In the beginning, it's once a week, because I want to make sure they feel comfortable where they're at, their manager's talking with them, they're feeling good about the program. And then, look what we can do to help them, in their career. So one of the things we really encourage as well is what learning they can take internally with the firm, as well as after they complete their 1 year, talk about mobility opportunities. Do you still want to do what you're doing today, or do you want to look to move into another role in technology or in one of the lines of businesses? So for me, the definition of success for this program is really around, it's a 5-year program for us. However, for me, it's not just about completing the 5 years, it's about completing the 5 years and beyond, right? So we get the 5 years in technology, then what can we do beyond this? So how can we take it not just in technology, but outside of technology? So I have a partner over on the Wells Fargo side who's actually doing it with bankers, and I was very amazed at what they're doing with that. They're doing branch managers and tellers and things with their program, and they're very focused on only military. And so they have a little different twist on their program. So we meet on our Department of Labor meeting, once a month and talk about that. So I'm learning from different companies, different financial sectors, what they're all doing. And I think it's finding that interest and seeing how else we can expand our program, right? It's good now what we have, but I want to take it from good to great. And to take it from good to great, we have to do more than what we're doing today, right? So that's my idea for the future, and that's what I'm hoping for, is that we can make it, beyond what we do. And Carolyn, don't gasp one, because I'm afraid she's going to go, geez, what are we getting into? But I do definitely want to make it better. And I do have to say, just in conclusion, that Daniel's statement about, caring about Houston and how much you care about Houston. So just a quick bite size about me is that I moved to Houston because of this program. And I've become a passionate Houstonian because of it. So I do care about Houston and the Houston workforce, and to me this means a lot. And I appreciate when I'm asked to speak at events, because I want people to know that yes, you can convert us, Northerners into Houstonians, and make us really care. And I do have y'all in my conversation every now and then. So, but I do want to say thank you for this opportunity, and want you to know that JP Chase, we have 40,000 technologists in the firm, and so for us, this is great to bring, people in at this level and start them out and get them developed and continue, because we're just continuing to be a financial technology company. So we're not just a bank, and I know a lot of people go, oh, Chase is just a bank. We're not. We're turning into a financial technology company, and so we need people, in technology, and we want to develop people. We want to bring them in and say, let's develop you so you can be that next great person that comes up, with whatever new technology idea, that we need from a, financial perspective. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Tammy, and we'll be sure to get you some boots and a belt buckle. Make sure you feel like a well.
So I have boots. I have
Okay.
boots. I'm working on the hat next.
I'm still working on that one too. It's been 28 years, still haven't done it. So next we'll have David from INEOS, and also chairman of PetrochemWorks, who actually brings together employers to work on common workforce challenges. So David, can you give us some insight on how employers can collaborate and develop their talent workforce?
I'm fixing to. No. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come here today and talk about some of the great things that are going on in the petrochem and energy space. Just to set the stage a little bit, as I'm wearing my petrochem chair hat, there's about $70 billion of investments been announced since 2010. That's about 135 projects. It's going to translate into about a couple 100,000 permanent jobs by the middle of next decade. And there's more to come. That's really just the first wave. And right up there with capital investment and infrastructure is this whole element of human capital. And what we found was, with a lot of the expansion that's going on, we need people to build the assets, and we need people to operate and maintain the assets. And when we put an overlay on that, when we did a little bit of work on a survey, 50% of our employees are going to be turning over within the next 5 years. And that's pretty much come into reality and continues to. So there was an effort among owners and contractors, and by extension involving the educators in the region, most notably the Community College Petrochemical Initiative. That's the 9 community colleges that work in the process technology space, to really rally around a common vision and really look for ways to bring candidates in for good careers in our industry. And sometimes we hear on the news that it's not such a great career because there's layoffs and things like that. But in the petrochemical space right now, with the shale gas renaissance, the reason that we need these people is because we have people in the industry that have had 25, 35, 40 years of history with a given company. And they're ready to leave. They're ready to leave their legacy and bring new people in. So we wanted to do some outreach around the various populations, and with a focus area on veterans, with a focus area on women, with the focus areas on minorities and socially disadvantaged, because those are populations that are underrepresented in our industry. So when you put all that into the hat and you say, well, how are we gonna take a chunk out of this elephant? The rationale was to work with the Greater Houston Partnership, and my thanks to Peter Beard, who's done a great job facilitating this. And we really adopted the U.S. Chamber of Commerce model. So we collected a lot of data, we turned that into strategy that manifests itself into a number of programs, which we call best practices that we share. And then you really execute, and then you go back to data and see if you've moved the needle or not. So we spent a lot of time setting that up, and I'd say that, from a data standpoint, we started out with a labor demand survey, and we did that by discipline and by craft. We did a talent pool survey. We did the retiree survey that was kind of baked into the labor demand survey. And from that, we developed a strategy. And what we came up with is to develop a number of subcommittees that work on onboarding and communications and training and credentialing for employees in our industry, to come up with a number of these best practices that we then roll out to membership. And we're at the point now where we're sort of halfway through the initial best practices that were developed, but I want to brag on a couple of them. Number one is a golf tournament that is sponsored by PetrochemWorks, and it has raised almost $1 million over 4 years that go directly to scholarships for students at the community college, and as of late, also students that are going through the Construction and Maintenance Education Foundation training program. And even last year, we were able to work out a mechanism so that we could help kids and faculty that were affected by Hurricane Harvey to restore their books and help them with tuition and everything, to keep them on the path into careers into our industry. The second one I want to talk about was with some help from JPMorgan Chase, and that was the launching of the PetrochemWorks site. And if you've never been to this, go to PetrochemWorks.com. I've been to a number of career sites, at the national level, and I really think that this one is an excellent tool to not only get people interested, understand careers, understand what they can make, but also understand what they need to be able to achieve their career. And within PetrochemWorks, you can take about 6 clicks, and if you're qualified, you're actually applying for a job for INEOS or Exxon or Shell that's live. And I think that's one of the unique things about this site. And so we're really leveraging the technology for recruitment to attract and develop people in this space. The one thing I would say is I probably made it sound a little bit trivial when I said we got 6 owners and we got 5 contractors together as part of this PetrochemWorks Steering Team. But really, it takes a lot of work initially to get all those players on board. These are all executives in the company. They've all got their own agendas within their company. But really getting everybody to pull in the same direction takes a little bit of work. You got to develop trust. You got to develop relationships. And if you can do that around a common purpose, which is let's help the industry, let's help people get great careers, let's involve other organizations like CNEF, the community colleges, neighborhood centers like that. You can really get momentum around an idea, and that's what's taken place.
Okay, great, thanks. So each of you have shared different approaches of how you use to tackle this. But one of the common themes that I seem to hear is there relies on education and partnering with others to develop and train your talent. Mm-hmm. So given what you know today, what are 2 things that you see are essential to having the impact that you've had in the success with your program? I'm gonna start with Tammy, and you can share what you've done with your partnership with HCC to help identify talent for Chase.
Sure. So HCC has been a great partner. Houston Community College has many campuses, as I learned after I moved down here, because I thought it was just one big campus. But they're a technology campus, which is very diverse and has a lot of, different professors, different people to talk to over there. And when I sat down with them and had some conversation, I said, here's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for, we've got a technology business, and we're looking for people that we can bring in and develop in the technology business. And so they said, okay, what do you need? And then they told me about the programs that they had. And I'm always interested in cybersecurity because, as you know, in today's age, that's one of our big ones. And it's one of the ones, I was just speaking to Carolyn about that. We've got someone that's interviewed, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that if we can get him hired in, we'll actually break through that ceiling of getting someone in cyber out of the program. So there's, they actually had us look at their curriculums and say, okay, are our curriculum strong enough? And we offered, some suggestions of what we thought might help for the curriculums and bringing the students in and the experience. And it was it was definitely a partnership. They wanted us to know what they had, and they wanted to know what they could do to help us, and we wanted to let them know, hey, here's how you can help us from the front end. Help encourage people to take these courses. Add this to your curriculum, partner, do things like that. So it's a partnership where they need to know what you need and you need to know what they have. And so you can work together and make it successful. And that's what we did.
Okay. So David, the Petrochem Steering Committee is a collection of employers for employers, employers with education, education with education. What 2 ingredients are critical to the success of the Petrochem Steering Committee?
So I think there's a couple of things. I think number one is really around defining expectations and speaking with a consistent message. And by doing that, you have people rally around a common purpose. It helps you to set priorities, to align your resources with that, and have everybody moving in the same direction. And I think the second part is really having an agile and an open environment of engagement. We have found as we've gone through a number of, with our subcommittee certainly, that we've had to adapt to certain things, things that we held as truths and we had to massage a little bit. And so our committees have really been actively engaged, owners, contractors, the educators. And I kind of kid sometimes, but I think it's true, is that this whole engagement is a contact sport, right? You have to engage directly, face-to-face, be in the committees, be committed to be there, have a little bit of passion around it, because it's going to take a little bit out of you. And by the way, you've got a day job back at the office. So by having those people in that room, but having a clear vision, and knowing what the expectations are, then you can start setting the resources in place. I would add to that you really need the employers to drive the decisions. They're the ones with the resources, they're setting priorities, they're going to be bringing the ones into your company, into their companies. And so it's great to have a measurement system set up so that you know whether you're moving the needle or not, you're putting your resources in the right place. And then as needed, you go and tweak, you do your course corrections all along. You can do that at the subcommittee level, which we hope happens, and probably 90% of it does, or you can do it at the steering team level.
Okay. Andrea, I know TRIOS is looking to expand this program into other parts of the state and region. What are the 2 success factors you think will be helpful in expanding the program?
So the thing that I think makes the Houston model so important is we have this alignment and tension, 2 sides of the same coin, with our great partners at HCC and Spring Branch ISD. Our expectations are aligned with House Bill 5 and other legislation around 60 by 30 at the higher ed level. There's a lot of things that educators are working to do to try to meet employers' needs. And so having alignment and tension and understanding what's in it for us, what's in it for you, and working through those points of pain and moving forward are really important. And so at Guthrie High School, and their principal, Joe Kalinda, is here with us today, we recruited 52 students into the first program. This next coming fall, we're going to have another 60 who are going to start into the year 1 of the program. 40 of those original 52 are planning to come back, so we have 100 in Spring Branch. We've also started conversations with Austin ISD and Austin Community College, Grand Prairie ISD, and the Dallas County Community College District outside of Dallas. And we are going to be having another 51 students in those 2 locations that are also going to begin this fall. And so with this work, I think the word that comes to mind as the second success factor after alignment and tension is stamina. You have to take the long game approach on this because there are bureaucracies in all of our systems and biases and habits of work, of this is how we do it. And if we're not open to explore what's possible, then you're just going to keep reiterating on the issues that we see today. Thousands of unfilled electricians positions are here in our city right now. And if we can't do something differently, we're doomed to repeat it. So definitely think stamina is important.
Okay, great. All right, panel. So describe something you know today you wish you knew when you first started this journey.
Ignorance is bliss. No, I think just coming off of the boot camp, I would say for me, I'm so optimistic about the young people in our community. And we trash millennials way too much. These high school students are actually Gen Z. And so if I had anything that I wish I could have pulled back into the work as we just started was how worthy these students are of this investment and how engaged they can be and how much we can learn from them. They are a beacon of light as we do this work. And I think because there are points of friction and there's a perception of irrationality sometimes that can exist because the bureaucracies are set up to solve different kinds of scenarios and different problems that we've moved beyond, and we need to come up with different solutions, that if you could just take this sense of possibilities of what these young people can do, I think that would be really inspiring and help you work through all that points of tension.
I think for me, it's the impact that it has on the apprentices, right? I had no idea what the impact was, and when you sit with them and you listen to their stories, if I would have understood more the impact that it would have on their lives, that would have even meant more to me and brought more passion about the program for me. I'm very passionate as it is about this program, but just understanding, it's a life-changing event for them to be in the programs and to get their foot in the door. And one guy that is one of my apprentices, and he does have his 1 year and graduated the program, his wife didn't have any medical insurance for an entire year until he got in the apprenticeship program and he had benefits with us. And I was aghast, like, really? Yeah, you can't believe that it's that much of a life-changing event. And that's, I think if I would have known that, it would have just increased my passion. And Carolyn maybe would help sped up things a little quicker if we could have got it off a little faster. But yeah, to me, it's life-changing for people, and that is something I think I just wish I would have known a little more in the beginning.
I think a couple of things. One is that it's difficult. There's challenges associated with execution, especially when you're talking about a scope as big as the whole talent pipeline and all the careers and disciplines that are involved in that, and all the organizations between the companies and the colleges and the contractors. And as passionate and committed people might be, it does take a lot of focus, and it takes a lot of inertia to get over in order to get people to get the energy to implement. And I think in hindsight, if we kind of talked about that up front, it might have been a little bit easier. The second thing that we learned, which I think is really important, and we keep it on the brain for about 1.5 years now, is that we want to build processes that are going to be sustainable. We do not want to be in this position another 10 years out and reinventing the wheel. So we do a good job of documenting, we get the sign off, and then we put it where it can be found easily, and we make sure that people are up to speed on within the various subcommittees so that we can do some changeover with time as well. So sustainability is a really key element, I think, in the workforce space.
Okay, great. Well, I can continue to ask questions, but we want to give the audience an opportunity to participate and help us as we continue to develop the workforce for the future. So we'll give you an opportunity to ask a couple of questions while we still have the panelists up there. There's some mics around the room, so we'll take a couple questions that we can ask the panelists. I know many of you, and I know you're not that shy, so let's.
One in the middle.
We got one back there, okay? Is that table 25?
I guess my question is, in parallel to the workforce development, have you guys put in place any initiatives or programs in your organizations to upskill the supervisors and the hiring managers in confirming job requirements, candidate selection, and interview processes?
I'll start with that if you don't mind. So the next bottleneck in the workforce space is not just getting candidates in to do the work, but it's getting good leaders, supervisors as well. I know in the craft area there's a number of supervision class, both internally, but also offered through the Youth and Area Safety Council. Internally, a lot of companies like ours, we've just embarked, we're about 18 months into it, on a 3-year frontline leader development program. And we invited both the second level leaders as well as some of our step-up candidates for supervision to be involved in that. So they'll all be speaking the same language. We're focusing a lot in the early modules on behaviors and leadership, and moving into managing performance, ultimately into business acumen and Lean Six Sigma and some of those elements as well, because that really is the legacy we're going to leave behind, are the people that we develop into those roles and move up the organization.
We're focused not just on entry-level positions, but allowing people to see a career path within our industry. And so beyond having the journeyman licensed electrician, the next bottleneck is at the foreman level, somebody leading the teams that are actually working on an entire floor, getting things done, understanding how to bring the best out of the skills that you have on your team. And so that's an area that it's a critical need for us as well. And so having clarity of how you get from that entry-level position, from a pre-apprentice to an apprentice, to a journeyman, to a lead man, a foreman, and then on up to being maybe an estimator or working in sales and having different opportunities, all of that, making that transparent as to what that process is and what are the skills and competencies and knowledge that you need to get there is something that our company is investing in as well.
Okay, great.
And for us, so to answer your question about hiring managers and supervisors, it was kind of hard when we were just doing the apprenticeship program to have them understand that the people coming in did not have a lot of experience, right? Because they were used to interviewing and hiring people that had experience behind them or had been in, another role in the firm and, had been there 4 or 5 years. And for this, these were people coming in with, minimal experience, if any, in their new, with their new degree, their associate's degree in computer science. So it was getting them to think a little bit differently. And we're very agile, methodology driven right now, and that I think helps a lot because we're looking at doing things like 2 weeks at a time and little victories along the way, and that's helped because as you bring new people in, they think differently than people that have been there for a long time, and all of a sudden the managers and supervisors are going, well, wait a minute, these guys are really thinking out of the box because they're not jaded by anything else that's going on. So it's been a different mindset for them. It has been some coaching and mentoring with them to get them to look at it from a different way, but we're seeing that it's very successful at this point.
Okay, great. So this has been a great conversation. Before we started the panel, we asked Peter Beard to listen to some of the themes that he might have heard from the panel. So I'm going to have Peter come up, give us 3 to 5 themes that he might have heard. He's going to give it to us in the form of a tweet, and then we'll allow our panelists to have the final word.
No, and I think, we can probably take about 10 more minutes of questions if you want, and
All right,
then
great.
we'll do that.
Okay, good. Any more? Kim.
Good morning. Robert Trevino, Gulf States Toyota Workforce Development. I have a quick question for the Trio Electric. I heard you mention pre-apprenticeship. Could you describe, go into that a little bit more for me, please?
Sure. With Gulf States Toyota, we do have 2 pre-apprentices out there working on your lobby right now. A pre-apprenticeship is a program, for us it's a DOL approved extension, Department of Labor extension of our apprenticeship program. The pre-apprenticeship allows youth, minors, to do things that they would otherwise not be allowed to do in accordance with child labor laws. And so because they're in a pre-apprenticeship program, they're able to work with the equipment that an electrician would be able to do. In this program that we've developed with HCC and Spring Branch, they're earning not only the education requirements that they're going to need towards fulfilling their journeyman's licensure certification, but they're also going to get the on-the-job experience working this summer at sites like your own so that they can have the employable skills that are going to allow them to have that opportunity when they graduate from high school to immediately come to work at Trio.
Question up front.
Hello. Hi. I wanted to kind of hear about your retention rate on your apprenticeship program.
So we recruited 52 students initially with our first year at Spring Branch. Of those, 40 participated in our boot camp, and some of the ones that couldn't join us this summer are undocumented students who are not eligible for employment. Others had lacrosse camps. One is valedictorian of his high school and chose to spend his time doing some other things. But of the 40 that participated in the boot camp, we've only lost 2 students, one for family issues that required him to stay back at home with his family this summer, and another who chose to the valedictorian or salutatorian that's doing some other things around furthering his career options. Both of those students will be coming back this fall to Guthrie. We will have 40 students this fall participating in the second year of the program. And then we'll start with another group of 60, which is larger than the group that we had this year that are going to be coming into the fall. So we'll have at least 3 or 4, whatever Joe decides, first year classes, and then you're saying 4, and then two for the second year program.
And we had out of the initial 5, we kept the first 3. The other 2, one we lost due to assistantship situation, and the other one was from an attendance. He was not able to attend work due to a family situation. But other than that, everyone that we brought in so far, we've been able to keep on.
We have both apprenticeship and internship programs, and I would say that for our internship program, we're probably in the high 80s, And for our apprenticeship program, I can only think of one in the last 3 years that worked at one of our sites and ultimately didn't stay employed with us, so probably about 95%. So those programs are excellent. It's good for the candidate, it's good for the company, and I think that when you bring them in, then they're learning your culture as opposed to bringing people in all the time with experience that are bringing other cultures in.
Thank you. My question actually piggybacks on the original question around how you prepare your industry for the influx of employees you're bringing in. So my specific question is, what advice would you give companies who are working on their workforce development programming as to plan and prepare the employees, their upper managers, the supervisors that'll be dealing specifically with the people that are being hired? How do you suggest they prepare their supervisors for their new employees coming in? What advice do you give companies for that?
So, I'll start. I think what you have to do is first, before you even bring anybody in the door, is you need to sit down with your supervisors and managers and, just set the expectations up front that, the people coming in, here's the type of experience they're going to have or the type of education they're going to have. And just make sure they understand that coming in the door before the people even get in. And then the second and third piece is you need to look at, from a diversity perspective, are there any challenges there, culturally or language, things like that. If you're a global company like we are, sometimes between culture and language, things don't always equate the same. And so you have to be very careful with some of your language, because sometimes you think something means one thing in English, and maybe, even over in the UK, it might mean something completely different. So I think just making sure that, you set those expectations wherever the people are coming in from, and that, or their background, their cultures, but also letting the supervisors and managers know that, hey, these people are coming in, here's the expectations, letting them know what you're expecting from the people coming in, that those people have clear expectations, but making sure the managers and supervisors support them to be successful, right? They shouldn't be, critical coming in the door. They want to be very supportive, because people are very nervous when they first come into a company. It can be quite overwhelming, big or small, because you're in somewhere new. A lot of people work together for a long time. There might be situations that are already existing. And so, support those people coming in and talk to them and say, we want to make them a success, and how can we do that? Before they even get in there, figure out how you can make it successful for them.
From our company, we have senior leader buy-in on this program. It actually is giving us a lot of we have a lot of enthusiasm about getting this right, because we can't grow without the talent that we need to grow. And so I would say there's a couple things that we do, because some of the journeymen and foremen have come up through a different system with a rite of passage that was more stringent or hard. And it's not about widening the plate, but it's about making sure that you are communicating well about what the apprentices or pre-apprentices are bringing to the table, and having a training and opportunities for foremen to voice their concerns and get answers, right? So we met with our mentors last week before they met with their mentees or the interns that are going out in the field, to explain to them, one, how important this is to our long-term viability as an organization. We need more people to grow. And so once they see that they're part of the solution, they're going to have more buy-in. But there's also points of tension, because we're not operating in this world alone. TRIO has clients, our clients have clients, and they all are coming in with their biases and perspectives. So the more that you can do, not only to move it down, but to move it up, so that your partners and people that you're working with understand the challenges and what you're trying to do, it's going to go a little bit smoother. But being very responsive to issues as they come up. Our superintendents went out for orientation up in Spring at Hewlett-Packard and out at Conoco this morning at 6 a.m. in order to make sure that that things were going smoothly on the ground for our clients.
So we set a lot of effort when we were bringing our frontline leaders in setting the business case. This is not a check-the-box exercise. I think a lot of people came in thinking about that. And so when we talk about diversity and inclusion, we talk about the big picture diversity and inclusion, which includes multi-generational populations, includes gender, includes race, includes a lot of other things. And so my advice to you, unfortunately, the front part is not very exciting. It's making sure you get the compliance part right, the EEOC, make sure everybody understands the goalpost. And then we launched right into workshop. And I would say out of all the modules we've done, the diversity inclusion had more workshop elements to it in terms of role playing and things like that. And up front, nobody wanted any part of that, right? By the end of it, they were all totally engaged. We had a lot of cross-site activity, which we'd never done before. And so we actually got a lot of extracurricular benefit out of just by bringing people together and asking them to do some of these exercises in the role playing. But the one thing, a quick story, the one thing that seemed to get the most traction and got people, the light bulb to go off, is when the instructor said, do you not think when you came in 30 years ago that the person in your chair now wasn't saying, you kids with your gall dang rock and roll music? Right?
So, any more questions?
What are you doing to provide the soft skills necessary to keep a job in addition to the hard skills that you're giving them?
I would say what we've done is partner with people that are expert in that work. So we've worked with United Way to identify organizations that could offer some of those soft skills about bias in the workplace, the diversity training and different things like that. If you're not expert in it yourself, don't invest extra effort in that. Partner with somebody else who believes in this. Personal finance, understanding how to fill out a check, different things like that. Frost Bank came into our boot camp and was able to work with the students to help prepare them about how to manage the money that they would then be earning as part of our paid internship. So this is a team sport. Has been our approach, and we don't feel like we need to build everything ourselves. We need to partner with organizations that have these capabilities, but include it as part of the overall development experience.
So for us, we not only have training that they can take for soft skills, but we also have them shadowing, right? So we don't just throw them into their role and say, here you go, take off, figure it out. We actually have them shadowing for at least a week, and we see how things are going during that week, because the people that they are going to interact with are across the globe. So it's not just people here in Houston, but they could be in India, Buenos Aires, Columbus, anywhere in the world, Japan, Tokyo. So we need to make sure that they know how to talk with people in different cultures and to have those soft skills and to act professionally. So that's why we have shadowing for at least a week, and we see how things are going. We usually make it 10 days to 2 weeks just to, okay, they've been in the first week, everything's kind of settled down a little bit, and then we just, kind of continue to monitor them. And then they have individual one-on-ones with their manager, and we have those discussions with their managers on how are they doing with their soft skills. We record phones when they're on the phone with somebody so we can hear how those conversations are going. And so we can see if we need to go back and do any more soft skill development.
We start with our managers, because if your managers aren't modeling the behavior, then there's not a very good chance that the rest of your folks are going to fall in line. So we start with there and make sure they're talking the vernacular, make sure they're exhibiting the behaviors. We talked about the frontline leaders. We involve their direct reports, and we involve the people that they report to for the same reason. And we ask them to be accountable to one another. We've set up what we call a community of practice. It's kind of loosely defined, but it's kind of a mentorship program between colleagues, so they can reach out and when they do have issues or they want to know how to deal with certain things. And then as part of our career day activities, we always make sure to talk about what the expectations are, which include a lot about soft skills, team player, like to problem solve, all those kind of things. We talk to those about the kids and the students in high school as well. And then just as another somewhat of a success from the PetrochemWorks, we told the colleges that one of the things that we were looking for was enrichment of the soft skills for the candidates who were coming to our companies for interviews. And they've worked on that with mock interviews. They've done weekend soft skill courses that are optional for people to attend. We've picked that up on our radar. We look for that on resumes now. So it's a very, like I said, we were talking before, course corrections. That was one of the course corrections I think we really got some bang for our buck on.
All right, guys, we're running low on time, so I'd like to call Peter back up.
So thanks, Frazier. I heard like 4 major themes. The first one was leadership, in the sense that there was collaboration to build a pipeline, and I think Andrea said it well, which is it's a team sport, which is why we're all in the room today. The second is commitment. I mean, when you listen to the intentionality and the focus these folks have had and the commitment to developing the pipeline and working in a different way to kind of from the pre-employment side to the ongoing development. So it's kind of that level of commitment. And then I think, we started with this notion of intentionality. These are very intentional partnerships that exist with clear focus, and clear communication. And I think at the end of the day, these folks are doing it because they invest in people and they view this as an investment, not a cost. And then the final one, and I think I'll go back to once again, Andrea, which is the persistence, stamina, the grit, and the risk that they took to make a difference. And it's those kinds of combinations, whether it's individually or in the collective sense of PetrochemWorks, that we have the opportunity. So those are kind of the 3 themes. And so I'd like to thank Frazier, Andrea, Tammy, and David for the great job they did today. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Peter. I would absolutely echo Peter's comments. I love the sports analogies, contact sports and team sports, but one thing that great teams have in common is great leadership. So I'd like to thank each of you for the leadership that you're providing here. So let's give them one more round of applause. So we're going to move onto our break. We've got our, let's see, we're calling it a marketplace in the lobby. And it's an opportunity for each of you to network, understand better some of the things that are happening in the community, whether it be from the educational side, the employer side, or the community engagement side. I'd like to thank everybody that's participating out there. I encourage you all to roll your sleeves up and get to spend some time together and understand how we can better work together. And second, as I referenced earlier, in our focus group research that we did last year, one of the themes that we got, particularly from the families and the students and potential participants, was that they were interested in hearing inspiring messages from people who are going through this process. And the GHP and UpSkill put together some videos to highlight some of the success stories that we have. So we're going to kick it off with Keith, who's a lead man at Merrick Brothers, to talk about his journey. And then I will remind you, they will be setting up lunch in between sessions. So that's a further nudge to get out and participate in the marketplaces, because we need to clear the room and make sure everything's set up for our lunch. So thank you all, and we'll put on the lead man story for Keith from Merrick. Thank you.
I'm 25 years old. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I went to high school at Bel Air. My name is Keith McCray, and this is my life as a lead man. My path to construction started in the HEB warehouse. In the stock room, I was working 10 hours a day, fresh out of high school. Didn't really know where I wanted to go in life. Since I was younger, I always wanted to be an architect. Looking at my brother, trying to figure out where I would be most happy at in the industry. He was a welder, and all his friends were happy. He was happy, so I just put 2 and 2 together and thought that I would be happy doing that. I have a couple of people under me. They can't do their work unless I go get the blueprints or unless I get the foreman to tell me, hey, this is what I want your guys to do today. What has allowed me to advance in my company is just hunger and ambition. I'm willing to learn. I love to learn new things, especially with technology. They gave me a chance to work with technology, doing the layout, which is you go into an empty room and you look at your tablet and your total station, and you connect those two, and it tells you where the wall is gonna go, how high the ceiling is, where everything goes, and that captivates my mind. So you just find something that captivates your mind and run with it. Free time nowadays is vacation. I just try to put away for vacation. I just came back from Cancun and it was 4-day vacation. It was great. Rode jet skis, climbed to the top of the Mayan pyramids, went swimming in sacred water. Never thought I would be able to do that, but just working, working hard, you're able to do a lot more than what you think you could. Construction, you can come in straight out of high school, but I would start by going to trade school. Coming in with a craft already under your belt, you start off higher wage, maybe a higher position, and you have a little bit more confidence put on you by the bosses that you have a certification already. Someone in high school that wants to get into the industry, I would just say, just do it. It's as simple as that. Construction is an open industry, especially in Houston. It's very rewarding. It's amazing the skills that you learn in construction. It's tools for life. What are you up for?